What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So today we're going to do a stimulus check update. I have a few different things I want to talk about today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the jobless claim numbers. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the skinny bill, and we'll talk a little bit about where is it. We're going to talk about the House of Representatives. They'll be voting on Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about what they'll be voting on. And then Larry Kudlow. We have to talk about Larry Kudlow. I was going to do a reaction video, but I saw someone else did it, so I don't want to do one and have people think I'm doing a video just like theirs. So that's the only reason that I didn't do that. But there'll be plenty of time to do more Larry Kudlow reaction videos, because he's probably the best one. If you want to do a reaction video, he's going to say some things that are pretty shocking that you're going to want to react to. So we'll do that in the future. But the first thing I ask if you guys to do is please hit that like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. We do daily videos as well as live streams on the weekend. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first story we want to talk about today is the jobless claim. So the jobless claims is 1.1 million. Now that's up. So last week and a half ago, it dropped below 1 million, and now it's back up over 1 million. So that's pretty significant. That's something that we really need to look at when it comes down to it. This is more reasons why we need more stimulus checks and things like that. Next story we want to talk about is the skinny bill. So the skinny bill, where is it? So we were waiting. They said 24 hours, we'd hear something. We haven't heard anything yet. And so we'll have to see what they come up with. We know that the talk was there's not going to be a stimulus check in this little skinny bill that the Republicans are trying to create. So if you guys don't know, the Republicans are talking about creating a skinny bill with some different things. I talked about it yesterday. There's a link up here. You can check it out. But we have not heard the details of this yet. They have not put it on paper yet. So all the stuff that we're hearing is just coming secondhand. So we're all waiting. I'm interested to hear what they say about this. Okay, so the next story I want to talk about is the House of Representatives. They'll be meeting on Saturday, and they'll be voting on the Postal Service bill. It will fund the Postal Service, give them additional funding, $25 billion. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I'm sure Nancy Pelosi has the numbers already. That's why they're going to meet on Saturday. So they'll vote, they'll approve it, and then they will send it over to the Senate. And then the Senate, when they come back from recess, I guess they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with this. They also, Nancy Pelosi also does not want to make any changes when it comes to the Postal Service. So they don't want to reduce anything, take out any more machines, take out any more mailboxes or anything like that. And they want to bring them back to where they were prior to all the reductions that have happened in the last few months. So I think that's interesting. All right, the last story that I want to talk about, Larry Kudlow. So Larry Kudlow was on, he had an interview on CNBC yesterday. He had an interview today on Fox Business, and he's not talking about stimulus checks on either of those interviews, which is very interesting, right? So you had all the politicians talking about stimulus checks. You had the president talking about it. You even had Larry Kudlow mentioning it. You had Mitch McConnell mentioning it. Of course, you had Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer talking about stimulus checks. Now, we don't hear much talk when it comes to the senators. They're not talking about it. And this new skinny bill doesn't look like it's going to be in there. And now we have Larry Kudlow representing the White House not talking about stimulus checks. And they were talking about the next stimulus package. He didn't mention anything about stimulus checks. So does that mean that we're not going to get stimulus checks? No, that's not what it means. But it's just interesting that they're not even talking about it anymore. And so I think it's our job in order to let them know, hey, this is still something that everyone is interested in. Just because you're not talking about it doesn't mean that's not going to happen. And what happens with politicians sometimes is they'll purposely stop talking about it just to see if there's an uproar. If they see the uproar, then they'll say, okay, yeah, no, we never said it wasn't going to happen. We just, thought that you guys knew it was going to happen. That's why we didn't think that it was even necessary to mention. So I'm just saying, I have a link in the description. You can call your congressperson. You can let them know, hey, I'm still interested in stimulus checks because we don't want that to get away. We saw what happened with hazard pay. Hazard pay doesn't look like it's even on the table anymore. So we don't want that same thing to happen to stimulus checks. So you want to make sure you contact your Congress people just to let them know, hey, we're still serious about this. We still think this is something that needs to happen. So it's interesting. Like I said, Larry Kudlow, he comes out with all this stuff, and And he's easy to watch when to get reactions. He's easy to watch because you watch him and you'll get a reaction, because he just comes up with all these different types of things that are just, I mean, it's just off the wall. Like some of the stuff that I hear him say is just like, you have to be kidding me, right? In this interview earlier today, he was talking about from $3.5 trillion to $4 trillion is what the Democrats want right now. It's like, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I mean, the number just keeps getting higher and higher, right? It's just like the fish that you caught. You know, I caught a fish this big, and then 4 or 5 years later, I caught a fish this big. And then 10 years later, I caught a fish this big. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm just, I still have faith that we will be getting a stimulus check. I just think that politicians need to understand the seriousness, and I still don't think they're getting it. And that's why when we're talking about negotiations, that's why you need to have elected officials in the room negotiating. They need to be in the room. You need to have the president. You need to have Mitch McConnell, because those are the people that we are going to hold accountable. Ultimately, we're not holding Larry Kudlow accountable. We're not holding Mark Meadows accountable. We're not holding Stephen Mnuchin accountable. We're holding the elected officials accountable. They need to be in that room, and maybe we can get something done, because they know they'll feel that pressure. And I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm going to stick with it. And Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer should be really insisting that they be in the room, because I think it's necessary. But more importantly, I want to know what you guys think about all these stories. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one.